It's going to be a
Thank
wild
you.
night, I can tell. All right, don't forget to speak into your microphones. Are we recording?
Recording in progress.
I would like to welcome you and call to order the December 19th Port Orchard City Council regular meeting, our last meeting of the year. And before we kick this off, I'd like to remind us in the actions we're about to take. Are we raising the bar? Are we honoring the past but not living in the past? Are we building connections with outside partners? And is the decision-making process positively impacting diversity, equity, and inclusion? Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a published agenda that Councilmember Cacciardi, I understand, is going to completely rework. So, Councilmember, do your best.
Okay, here we go. I'd like to, Brandy, you ready for this? I'm gonna make a motion to amend tonight's agenda. First thing would be to add the excusal of Councilmember Diener to the consent agenda for personal reasons. And then we are going to move a number of business items this evening from the business agenda to the consent agenda. And that would include item number C, the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the positions of Principal Planner, Human Resources Analyst, GIS Asset Management Coordinator, and establishing general duties and qualifications. We also will move item E to the consent agenda, adoption of a resolution confirming mayoral appointments to boards, committees, commissions, and boards. We'll also move item F to the consent agenda, the adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a portion of Kitsap County parcel tax number 342-401-4-027-2008 for the Pottery Sidewalk Extension and Road Project. We'll also move item number G to the consent agenda, the adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of a portion of Kitsap County tax parcel number 342-401-4-023-2002, again for the Pottery Sidewalk Extension and Road Project. And we will move item H to the consent agenda, the adoption of a resolution declaring intent to be reimbursed for capital expenditures from a future borrowing. And finally, we'll move item I to the consent agenda, and that's the approval of an amendment number 3 to contract number 048-23 with Lincoln Construction, Inc. for the City Hall renovations project.
Seconded.
A motion by Councilmember Cacciardi, a second by Councilmember Clausen. Any discussion of any of those?
The motion maker would like to actually add one more thing that I forgot in my haste. And we're going to move item number 8A, presentation of a recognition of outgoing council members, down below item number 14, so if we called it 14B.
Okay, and that would,
With the second would
Second
agree
agrees.
to that.
second agrees to that. All right. Everybody tracking that?
Got it.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. The agenda has been set for this evening. So now we are to our first citizen comment period, which is for any items on our agenda. So if anyone online wishes to address the council for items on the agenda, use the raise your hand feature. And anybody in the audience, if you would like to address the council for items on the agenda, please step to the podium. All right. No one, so we're going to close the first citizen comment period. We are to the consent agenda. Councilmember Clausen.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Seconded.
We have a motion by Councilmember Clausen, a second by Councilmember Terneri to approve the amended consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda has been approved. We have a public hearing tonight. Ordinance approving the First Amendment to McCormick Communities Development Agreement for Transportation. Mr. Bond, this is you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and members of council. Before you tonight is an ordinance amending the McCormick Communities Development Agreement for Transportation. On February 1st, 2021, the City of Port Orchard and McCormick Communities LLC entered into a development agreement for the purpose of establishing transportation improvements in concurrency for the McCormick Woods Development Project. Section 9 of that agreement establishes the number of lots and peak PM trips that can be constructed and generated in McCormick Woods. Through this amendment request, McCormick Communities desires to modify these numbers so that the maximum number of lots is aligned with the maximum number of peak PM trips already in the development agreement. This First Amendment does not change any impact fee credits, concurrency development standards, or other or entitlements for any parcels that may be covered by the original development agreement and that have since been sold by McCormick to other parties. The application for the development agreement was submitted in accordance with the city's code on September 13, 2023, and this public hearing was noticed in accordance with the code. As of the date of this report, the Department of Community Development has not received comments on the proposed development agreement, and SEPA was completed on December. We issued a DNS back in 2020 for the overall project on December 24th, 2020, and that SEPA decision had not been appealed. The staff recommendation is to hold a public hearing on this issue tonight and later under business items approve the development agreement and ordinance as presented.
Right, with that, I will open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to testify on the First Amendment to the McCormick Community Development Agreement, you may step to the microphone. No one has signed up, and if anybody online wishes to testify, please use the raise your hand feature. Last call. Anyone wishing to testify on this matter? Yep. Oh, there, Greg just raised his hand. Can you bring Greg Krabbe into the meeting? He's muted, though.
Good evening, council. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead. Please
Well,
go ahead.
thank you for hearing this evening. This was really just a Scrivener's error, something we missed, and this would better align the existing concurrency trips with the McCormick Woods development, and so we hope that you will vote favorably for this, and we will pay more attention in the future as we formulate these agreements. Thank you.
Okay, and for the record, that was Greg Krabbe from McCormick Communities testifying. Others wishing to testify on this matter? I'm not hearing any, so I will now close the public hearing on this matter. Before we jump into the business items, Nick, I see a piece of paper up here with Rice Fergus Miller's letterhead on it. Was that just me? No. Does this pertain to any of the business items up here that I'm?
It was on the consent agenda, and I believe there was an email that went out pertaining to this after the packet came out.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a missing piece for something I needed to point out. So thank you for that clarification. All right, let's move to our very few business items here. The first of which is the adoption of an ordinance approving the First Amendment to McCormick Communities Development Agreement. Mr. Bond.
Well, I don't think there's a whole lot more I can say beyond what I presented for the public hearing, so I'll just restate the recommendation from staff, that is to approve the development agreement ordinance and the agreement as presented.
Councilmember Trenary.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve an ordinance approving the 2023 First Amendment of the McCormick Woods Development Agreement for transportation.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Trenary, a second by Councilmember Lucarelli. Are there any questions for Mr. Bond on this matter? Sounds like it was just a Scrivener's error. So with that, you'll be voting on the adoption of an ordinance approving the First Amendment to the McCormick Communities Development Agreement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance is approved. Item B, adoption of an ordinance amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget, including Exhibit A personnel. Crocker, this is you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The City of Port Orchard's biennial budget is written to capture revenue expenses over the fiscal period. By this ordinance, the City Council would amend its 23-24 biennial budget as adopted under Ordinance Number 4622 and amended under Ordinances 1823, 2223, and 2923. These would also include changes to Exhibit A, which identifies salary and personnel positions of the city. The total fiscal impact to the biennial budget is an additional $1.64 million of expenditure authority. And staff would just like to add that we covered this in great detail at our last meeting, so I'm happy to take questions. Other than that, the finance director would recommend adoption of the ordinance amending the 23-24 biennial budget.
Councilmember Rosa Pepe.
Mayor, I move to adopt an ordinance amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget for the city of Port Orchard.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rosa Pepe, a second by Councilmember Clausen. Any questions of Mr. Crocker? I know this was covered in detail last week and also at the Finance Committee last week. All right, you'll be voting on adoption of an ordinance amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget, including Exhibit A personnel. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. Our new item C was previously item D, which is the second reading of an adoption of an ordinance approving a franchise agreement with the city of Bremerton. Mr. Bond, this is you again.
Yes, thank you. In 2009, the city of Port Orchard annexed an area of West Port Orchard that included the McCormick Woods subdivisions. Within this area, north of Old Clifton Road, these subdivisions are served by the city of Bremerton Water Utility and are in Bremerton's Washington State Department of Health approved water service area. The city of Bremerton does not have a franchise agreement in place to operate their water system within these recently annexed Port Orchard rights of way. Staff from the city of Port Orchard and Bremerton have negotiated a franchise agreement that outlines the terms of Bremerton's use of the city's right-of-way. In accordance with RCW 35A 47040, a franchise agreement must be approved by ordinance and requires 2 readings and must be passed by a majority of the entire city council. The first reading occurred on December 12, 2023, and the second reading is scheduled tonight. The city of Bremerton will also have to approve this agreement and sign in acceptance. The staff recommendation is that the City Council conduct the second reading and approve the franchise agreement between the City of Port Orchard and Bremerton as presented.
Councilmember Lucarelli.
I move to adopt an ordinance approving franchise agreement between the City of Port Orchard and City of Bremerton to allow the City of Bremerton to operate their water system within Port Orchard rights of way as presented.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Lucarelli, second by Councilmember Trenary. Are there any questions of Mr. Bond? It's a second reading, so it's not a new item. Seeing no questions, you'll be voting on the adoption of an ordinance approving a franchise agreement with the city of Bremerton. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the resolution, it's an ordinance, passes. Okay, our new item D was previously item J, which is the approval of the November 21st council meeting work study minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Councilmember Clausen.
Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes for the work study session of November 21st, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Clausen, a second by Councilmember Lucarelli. Any corrections, questions about those meeting minutes? And you'll be abstaining, so, well, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And an abstention by Councilmember Cucciardi. We are to our last business item, which was previously item K, now item E, which is the approval of the November 28th council meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Councilmember Cucciardi.
Mayor, I move to approve the council meeting minutes for the regular meeting on November 28th, 2023.
Are there any corrections or questions about those meeting minutes? None. All in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't believe you want to say aye, Councilmember Trenary. I think you're going to abstain, and so is Councilmember Clausen.
No, I didn't hear a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a motion.
I second it.
motion.
I second the motion.
You made the motion, and I'm just trying to get it done. All right. Councilmember Cucciardi made the main motion. Councilmember Lucarelli made the second one. We'll vote again then, since we didn't quite get it right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And 2 abstentions, I believe. Councilmember Trenary and Councilmember Clausen. All right, we don't have any discussion items. Council committee reports. We only have one, which was our Festival of Chimes and Lights.
Yes, Festival of Chimes and Lights, we consider was a real success. It was a beautiful day, and we had an incredible turnout. Unfortunately, we don't have numbers on the turnout, but the crowd pretty much lined Bay Street and went actually beyond the 7-Eleven. So we thanked everybody in our committee meeting, and we're looking forward to another great Chimes and Lights next year with the tree in front of City Hall, but probably having the stage out near the waterfront again. That went over very well. So thank you very much for that, and look forward to another Chimes and Lights in a year.
Wonderful. All right, we're to the mayor's report, and it's very brief. Just for those that are on this side of the room, just to save the date, January 15th in Olympia, with details to come, we will have a legislative dinner with our legislative representatives in Olympia that evening. So, and more details to come. Looking at our minutes from the past, I found that 100 years ago, John Clausen was appointed to the city council.
I hope those weren't approved.
Those minutes, no, that was a lie.
Could have changed history.
So I'd have nothing else in my mayor's report. And department heads, do you have anything to share? Mr. Ryan? No?
Nothing new tonight, thank you.
Mr. Crocker?
Nothing new from the department, but I don't know if this is the right time. I just want to.
We're gonna make,
Right?
well, I'll give everybody a chance to speak as we acknowledge people.
I would ask Mayor if Noah would stand up and model that. That's quite impressive.
Been wearing it all day. Yeah. You need my hat, is what you need to go with that. Mr. Bond?
Nothing to report, thank you.
All right, Miss Archer?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay.
You know I can't help myself. I just want to let you guys know that we did have a successful deputy chief recruitment. The mayor and I actually did some reverse interviews, and I finalized with some chief interviews last Friday. So we are going to be moving forward. Hopefully I can introduce you to at least the first one after the turn of the year. So thank you for letting us have that position created.
Debbie Lund is sitting in the audience. She came tonight because of one of the business items that got moved to the consent agenda, so.
Apologies.
But, you know, we're glad to have you here. Do you have anything to share for a
Just happy holidays, so.
and Miss Wallace?
Nothing.
Nothing, all right. We are to our second citizen comment period. Anybody wishing to address the council on any item? I see only a staff member online, but she's welcome to also comment if she'd like to. All right, last chance. All right, I am going to close the second citizen comment period. We don't have an executive session. In good of the order, Councilmember Rosepepe.
I actually do have one that was kind of a funny. We've been talking about our numbers going up on people watching council on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I was in the dentist chair with my hygienist, and she started talking about one of the business items that she had observed on YouTube. It's a little hard to answer, but I just wanted to point out that you'll get those questions anywhere because people are watching and the numbers are going up, and that's a very strong positive on what's happening with getting the word out. So that was my...
Wonderful. Anything else for the good of the order before we get to our presentations? Councilor Jang?
I just have a quick comment. Based on what Jay said, on the other hand, we've also heard stories of a lot of people coming here with pitchforks after certain events of the last month. And last week and tonight, we haven't had anyone testify. I just thought I'd
You're referring to
observe that.
observations at other cities you're referring to with pitchforks? I didn't understand the comment.
Oh, we heard a lot of heated arguments about some of the festivities that we had
Are
here.
you talking about social media? Not,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything positive to say.
Well, I just thought it was
So
a
I'm
nice
gonna move on.
observation.
For the good of the order.
This is good in the order, yes. All right, we have, I'm gonna do these one at a time, if we could. And Brandy, if you could bring up the plaque for Councilmember Cacciardi. And we rehearsed this earlier. So. So we have a little plaque for you. There is a real one, not just the one you see online. That's for everybody. But Councilmember Cacciardi started his service to the citizens of Port Orchard as a civil service commissioner more than 10 years ago. Sean first ran for the city council 8 years ago at the same time I became mayor. Your business skills and background have served the city well and helped guide the finance committee as we created new policies for stabilization funds and minimum reserves. I believe we've all benefited from your thoughtful perspective and in the numerous discussions we've had. And tonight, you expedited the meeting right on the fly. So I know you'll be missed, but I also know that all good things must come to an end. And I thank you for your service to the city of Port Orchard and look forward to seeing you on the golf course soon.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. And we've got plaques for you.
Plaque says that this plaque is in recognition of your dedication, your dedicated efforts and leadership to the citizens of Port Orchard as a council member from November 24th, 2015 to December 31st, 2023.
Council members, do you have any remarks, funny stories you want to share about Sean? No, I think Noah, was this, were you wanting to say something, or any staff members? You're welcome to. Okay.
Well, I was going to make comments on all three at the same time, but I guess I'll take this individually now.
Okay. Sorry, I rehearsed this with Brandy and not with you, the rest of you guys. So.
I just want to thank you, Sean, for being a huge participant on the Finance Committee. And this is true of both Cindy and John. This is a remarkable city in that this council works excellent together. And you can see it by how much we've accomplished. And a lot of that work is done at the Utility Committee and the Finance Committee. And then we established a Transportation Committee. So, I mean, so much work has been done here under your guys' leadership that I'm very thankful to be a part of. So thank you very much.
So true. We've had really something special here for a number of years, and it doesn't, you know, I know John and I and Cindy and Fred have had, you know, participated in city councils that weren't as effective, so this is, it's been refreshing. So, all right, next is Councilmember Lucarelli. And Cindy was first elected to the city council 12 years ago. And during her time on the council, she's had numerous committee assignments, but utilities and our partnership with West Sound Utility District for the sewer treatment plant is really where she made a difference. Under city's guidance, as the utilities chair, we've updated our sewer, water, and most recently our stormwater comprehensive plans. We've implemented capital facilities charges to ensure that growth and development is paying their share of the utility improvements in our city. But I think you'll all agree that Cindy will most be remembered for being the Queen of Christmas. You've chaired the committee and led the way of Chimes and Lights Festival for your entire time on the city council. I know it was your idea to place the Christmas trees and the planters when it was determined that the marquee could no longer hold up the weight of the garland downtown. And I sure hope that you will stay engaged and involved in our holiday festivities and city in the future. Cindy, I wish you the best as you transition off the city council. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you.
And Cindy, this plaque is being presented to you in recognition of your dedicated efforts and leadership to the citizens of Port Orchard as a council member from January 1st, 2012 to December 31st, 2023.
Any remarks any would like to make? You know, Cindy and Sean, I mean, you too, if you'd like to say anything too, you're welcome to.
Well, I just want to thank my fellow council members, mayor, just the incredible, we got the department heads here, but just please extend my thanks to your teams. I mean, this city's incredible, and no good deed goes unpunished. But I think from my perspective, this council kind of sees through that, understands the difference. And I know a lot of times your teams in the field kind of take the brunt of that. And I'm sorry there's people in our communities that feel that way, but we know day in and day out what really happens, and they should just be commended for the incredible work they do, right? They're out there stopping businesses from flooding, yet we complain about Christmas tree lights. It's just interesting, perspective. But just pass along my thanks. And my 8 years, wow, fast, enjoyable, learned an incredible amount. I mean, there's just no way that someone can come in from kind of the private sector and in their first year really understand what it takes to run a city. It's just, John will probably speak to this in a minute, and I can't speak to, 20% of what you've done, but it's just been just eye-opening and just incredible. And I would just ask that for the council members that will be here in a few weeks, that you try to instill with the new council members those guiding principles, the values that we've collectively shared amongst the team there at the city and the council, and understanding what our role is, what our role is not. And I think one of the things I'm most proud about, and Noah spoke to it, is just kind of that as fiduciaries for the city, the continued plight to continue to set away sides and set away reserves, the revolving fund to set our city up to success. There will be a time in the near future where we will not be living the times that we've lived the last few years, and I think that's just a really important fiscal duty that we have. So it's been great to see that not only created by the council, but to see it continue to be funded. And I think those little things are a huge difference maker. So just on behalf of myself, just to thank everybody for a great 8 years, and good luck to everyone for continuing the tradition of just having really, really good leadership in the city of Port Orchard, and that's everyone included here in this room.
Thank you, Sean. Cindy, do you have any?
You said you weren't going to say anything, right? And you got on my case for Chimes and Lights. So I do remember a time when the council wasn't as together, and when the city really had some issues with leadership. And the council was actually fearful for what was going on at times. And I want to say that under Rob's leadership and with this council, it's been just a real joy to work together to accomplish everything that's been accomplished, and to have the security that we weren't going to either be harmed at a council meeting, or that we were going to be taken for the way that we were presented. And I just want to thank everyone. It's been a joy to serve with you. We have wonderful staff, and even though we haven't always agreed on everything, I just have loved the process of working it out and being together. And I do think that Port Orchard is really moving on, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the changes that are going to be happening in the next several years. But mostly I just want to thank you all. You've been such a great team, and I love you guys.
So we have one more plaque, Brandy. And we learned earlier that Councilor McClossen's served our community for 100 years.
Update that plaque?
Yeah, we might need to update the plaque, but I've had the privilege to serve with John Clausen for 17 of his 41 years on the city council. And that's just truly remarkable, 41 years serving our community on the city council. And John has lived a life dedicated to service. He was a volunteer firefighter starting in high school. In the early 80s, he was appointed to our Civil Service Commission. And then in 1983, John was appointed to the city council while I was still in high school. John,
were you born?
Yeah, I was born, but I was still in high school. John's calm, thoughtful approach and demeanor is something I know I will miss. John, I've considered you a mentor, a colleague, but most importantly, a friend. Excuse me. I believe 41 years deserves much more than acknowledgement and a small plaque that we see on the wall. So we'll give John his plaque first. And so go ahead and give John his plaque.
So this plaque is being presented to you in recognition of your dedicated efforts and leadership to the citizens of Port Orchard as a council member from January 24th, 1983 to December 31st, 2023.
got a little more. So if when Brandy gets back to her chair and gets a chance to bring it up, we've named a street on the north side of the library, and hopefully John didn't drive down there today because there was a crew was down there installing this sign. As soon as Brandy can bring it up, and it is now called John Clausen Way. And so you can see it there. Maybe she'll zoom in there a little bit, but that area there along the waterfront that the buses park on is now called John Clausen Way.
Thank you.
And we had another sign, because I think, you know, you should probably have something to memorialize this, and maybe on your office wall. It says John Clausen Way.
Thank you. Can I have something on here to make sure that everybody recognizes I didn't steal this? Presented to or something?
Yeah, for the record, I personally paid for that.
Oh,
the city
thank
did not.
you. Would you sign it for me?
I'll gladly sign it for you, John.
Thank you.
And I think that's not even enough. So, because there is more, and Brandy's going to bring up the last way that we intend to recognize you by placing a plaque near the library. And unfortunately, bronze plaques take months after they're ordered to receive. And Brandy, could you read that? Or I can do it. It says, John Clausen, a life dedicated to community service. As a student at South Kitsap High School, John began his dedication to service and leadership as a volunteer firefighter. John went on to serve Port Orchard Civil Service Commission in the early 80s. John served on the Port Orchard City Council 1983 to 2023. His leadership and dedication have made Port Orchard a better place and stronger thanks to his life of service. So, congratulations, John. I went a couple weeks ago, went to a rock quarry, picked out the perfect rock to mount this on. But the rock, I envisioned this bronze plaque being mounted vertical. So, and then we got the proof, and it's perfect. So I'm gonna have to go back to the quarry and pick a different rock out that's horizontal, so we can mount it on. But that's will be mounted on the waterfront. I'm thinking we'll have an event in the spring that we invite a number of dignitaries to recognize John, have an opportunity to bring his family to, and when we unveil this plaque down on our waterfront. So,
thank you very much. It's very kind.
Honored to recognize you, John. So, anyone else have any? Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, just for the record, I can't say enough thank yous to all three of you. I was a new council member, and you all welcomed me and mentored me, and it meant a lot. And the cohesiveness and camaraderie, yes, you mentioned, Cindy, we didn't always agree, but we always agreed to support each other once we made a decision. It's really going to be up to this side of the council to welcome the new members and do all the hard work that you did with us. Mark and I are the two newest members here, and we're feeling a little bit under pressure right now thanks to all the work that you all have done. And lastly, Port Orchard annexed McCormick Woods back in 2009, and it was really the start of Port Orchard growing as a city, and it's been your leadership that has made it happen and started the ball rolling, and there's a lot to do, and there's a lot that's going on. We have great staff to make it happen, but it's truly come through your leadership in the council. So thank you all very, very much.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to just write this or read this so that I don't mess it up too much. It's been a real honor to serve on the council with the three of you guys. I've known each of you prior to us being on the council for various years, but while I've been on this council, each of you has taught me what being a member of the city council is all about. and we've heard this already up here, we don't always agree on everything, but there's one thing that we do agree on 100%, and that's wanting the best future for our city and our residents. I thank each of you for the knowledge you passed on and for your service to the citizens of Port Orchard. Thank you very much.
I wish I'd prepared something. I am still in denial that you guys are going to be gone in January. I mean, I've paid attention to what's happened, and I know, you know, there's different names, but I know it's going to be a shock still. So I should probably take a picture and just put it here so I can look at it when I compare to the new people there. I do appreciate all of you. I know that we may have had some very different opinions, and I've appreciated the different points of view. I mean, you pointed out things that, based on our experience, you know, we just come from different places. One of the things that I really appreciated is that you collectively just sort of taught me the importance of maintaining our resources. It's not a very sexy thing when people run for council, when you think about, oh, you know, we're building things, but what about the maintaining what we have? And I unfortunately do have an ear to the ground sometimes, and the things I hear do make me sad because they don't realize that a lot of what we do is just not exciting in terms of taking care of what we have. But I appreciate, you know, your calm and thoughtful demeanor, but also your steadfastness, and I know that I will miss that very much. So thank you.
Staff, any comments you'd like to make?
Good evening again. So I'm coming up on 3 months next week. I'm really happy with the decisions that I made to come to work at Port Orchard. I'm surrounded by great counterparts and staff. It's admirable how cohesive this council is and the leadership that's provided. Every Wednesday following the council meetings, I go to the operations center and I debrief what happened at council, and the crew, you know, they make the comment about, wow, they're getting a lot done. So it's seen and it's heard, so it's very appreciated, and it's a great team to be part of, so thank you very much.
I just want to second pretty much all the comments here, and I want to go back to that, you know, as a finance professional, it's always fun to make other finance professionals jealous when you can talk about your city and your city governance. And one of the selling points I've always used when I've recruited and tried to hire employees is the camaraderie amongst our council, the respect, the professionalism, that they don't always agree, but there's respect and professionalism, and they each come with their own independent view to where they would see their city going and the goals and visions that they have. So I'd like to thank you for doing that, and it really makes me proud to service that type of council. So thank you very much for all the work that you guys have done.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo Noah's comments. What I had also planned to say is that the collaboration amongst this current council has been my best recruiting tool for hiring new employees. As you can say, everybody on the council is on the same team, and they're generally working towards the same ends. And it makes this an easy place to work and to want to work. And so I hope that Jay and Fred and Scott and Mark are able to sort of carry that torch and help the new council members continue what this council has built. It's crazy to me to think that I've been here for 10 and a half years with John and Cindy, and for 8 now with Scott, not Sean, sorry. And it's been great working with all of you, so thank you.
Thank you. I have the privilege of working with quite a few elected officials, and I think it's been mentioned this evening that you are unique, even amongst your historical councils in this city. You are absolutely unique, and I'm so thankful for having had the opportunity to work with you and to share this experience. I think the health of a city is dictated by the cohesiveness and the professionalism of its council, and this city is one of the healthiest I've ever experienced in my career, and I'm sure many others feel the same way, and that absolutely comes from the professionalism that you show. You don't always get along, as you've mentioned, and that you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want a bunch of folks who just nod along. You are absolutely engaged, and the level of engagement here is unparalleled in my experience. So you will be sorely, sorely missed, and I really appreciate my time working with you. So thank you.
It's kind of hard to go at the end because all the good stuff's already been said. But I'll second what everyone else has said. I mean, working with a collaborative group doesn't mean that you agree. It just means that you respectfully disagree. And to go to Nick's point, I get asked a lot by not only lateral candidates, but by new hires, does this community, does this council support this department? And support can mean a lot of different things. Like you can't just blindly support. And I appreciate that all of you have asked me very specific questions when we have come to ask for things, but you're willing to listen, you're willing to say, hey, maybe not right now, but we'll keep it in mind. And that support is noticed and felt by my staff, and it wasn't always felt that way. I have staff members on their own time that watch council meetings, and the way that you act amongst each other, especially when you disagree, carries over to our staff. And so when we talk about leadership, it really does flow down. And I would also agree that I hope that those who remain on the council can continue to carry that on and carry that forward, because it is so important for the rest of the staff at the city, and we're over 100 now, to see that from you, because that is the way that they then treat each other. And all of us here at our table, it's the same thing. We don't always agree, but we respectfully disagree, and we work through it because of the example that we are shown, and by that, we show that to our staff as well. So again, thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with everyone, and we're looking to see what will come in January.
Eddie, do you have any remarks? Or Debbie? Either one of you.
I don't have much to add that's been said, but with the comments you're hearing, I really hope you internalize those. Those are a testament to the character, really, of all of you. And I've told you this before, the fact that this council gets along, it makes my job so much easier as a recruiter. Because good candidates are watching YouTube, and they're watching to see how the council interacts. So, and that's because of the character of all of you. So your professionalism and your dedication. And I think what the public doesn't understand is what they see here is such a minute component of your jobs. The homework you have to do, the committees you serve on, the asking staff questions so you understand the issues, people don't even see that. They see just this, and you've all done a great job, and you will sorely be missed.
Yeah, they've said most of everything that I've planned on saying, and so although I don't have a lot of opportunity for recruitment within my department, but what I do have to offer is welcoming employees that come on board and want to be a part of the city. And in my meeting with them, I let them know that we have one of the best council members and mayors support, not only from the public's perspective, but also from staff. I know, and for myself, and I'm sure the other departments will agree that it's vital that we get the training and the support from the top up, because we can't do our jobs if we're not continually being educated and being supported by leadership. And I advocate for that. To our new employees, to let them know that we can't help ourselves if the top's not helping us. So I tell them that it's taken us quite a bit of time to get to that level. I can't believe I'm on my 17th year here with the city. I've seen a handful of mayors, a handful of council members and directors, and I do believe that it starts from the top. And having a cohesive mayor and council and staff work together, you get so much done. And the growth of the city is a direct result of your guys' direct leadership. And I thank you for that.
John, I'm going to give you the last word tonight.
Well, I thought you wanted to get out of here early. Well, first off, I'm truly honored. Thank you. And I sat actually this afternoon thinking about, my time here on the city council and kind of reflecting on a lot of things. And probably the number one thing that I benefited so much by sitting here because of the education that I received. It's hard to describe to someone who isn't part of a city government to explain just exactly what that means. And when I try to, sometimes they chuckle when I say, you know, where else can you learn the inner workings of a sewage treatment plant? And, you know, it is funny when you share that, but in reality, it is truly incredible how the technology has evolved, and that's one realm. The education of financing a large corporation, you learn an awful lot. The inner workings of a police department and how does that function, and the challenges that the staff sees, not only directly dealing with the public, but you mentioned recruitment as the most recent challenge, but there are many challenges. And to be a part of that and to be able to learn and experience it is, you know, it's a huge benefit. The other thing is that, you know, it's funny being here, you get an opportunity to work with the community in so many different fashions. And I thought about the folks that I had an opportunity to work with here at the council table. And this is maybe a little path down memory lane, but some of the folks that probably first and foremost was a council member who, her name was Margaret Jane Miller. And Margaret she was the chair of the committee that was looking for someone to fill the vacancy. And I guess my career on the council started because of her, because she convinced the other two to nominate me, and then the rest of the council approved my appointment that started many, many years ago. And then I had the opportunity to work with some really interesting people who, folks like, you know, Bob Lloyd. I don't know if many of you remember who Bob was, but Bob was a county commissioner. He was our city clerk for a number of years. He retired as city clerk, became a council member, and sat at the table for a while. I had a chance to work with him. And of course, you know, there's been a lot of folks, but folks like Don Morrison and, you know, Bob Geiger, Carolyn Powers, Lee Caldwell, they were real leaders that I guess helped. They were my mentors, Bob in particular, having a chance to work with him. And then some of the other folks in the community, like, you know, Jerry Bruckard, who, part of the Howe family, who was very instrumental, started the antique mall downtown, and I remember I talked to Jerry when we were building this place because we didn't have enough funds to put the flagpole out there. And I talked to Jerry, and she and her family provided the funds that allowed us to put the planter out there and the flagpole. And if you go out there, you'll see the plaque that commemorates her. And, you know, we just lost one of the big pillars with Dick List and Dick Rylander at Myries, and, you know, folks in the community that I had an opportunity to work with kind of one-on-one. Then, you know, the projects that have occurred that I've been blessed to be a part of, with probably some of the bigger ones. I know the first one was most challenging was the sewage treatment plant, because the thing that made that most challenging is the federal government came in and said, you will build a secondary treatment plant. And trying to communicate that need to the community, that guess what, folks, we all have to stand up and pay for something. That so many times I heard people tell me that, is my toilet going to flush any differently? And you want me to pay a lot of money? And they have to sit there and explain to them that, you know, we don't have an option. And in fact, at one point, the feds threatened to put every one of us that were sitting here on the council table in jail if we didn't move forward with it. So it's like, what option do you have? So, you know, those kinds of challenges. And of course, the construction of that plant, and I guess you could say times two since we remodeled it partway through. Tremont Bridge was another major project that we did that we kind of set the, and it's not me, it's just I was get to be a part of it. We set a new standard for how to build those things over a canyon like that, and they invented this trolley system that they would set these big precast beams on and trolley them out to the center stanchions or the columns out there to hold them up, which is quite unique. And we were so lucky that during that, the bridge was originally planned to be a 2-lane road, and the contractor came to us and said, you know, it's fairly easy for us and relatively inexpensive to pour a couple more of these things and make it a 4-lane. And collectively, we had the foresight to say, let's go for it. And now, you know, we're benefiting since it's a 4-lane road all the way from start to finish. You know, little things like the first roundabout on the state highway, the expansion of the Tremont project, the building of the new fire station up on Tremont. I think the unique thing about that fire station was that when we built that building in phases. We budgeted funding, and we did what we could do with that amount of budget, and then the building sat until the next year till we could allocate more funding. And it took us a couple years to complete that, but at the completion of that fire station, it was debt-free. There was no cost to that. And then, of course, you know, we're sitting in this building, which was a major project, and I was blessed to chair the grand opening celebration committee, which was a lot of fun. We had, you know, we had a black tie event the day before we opened it to the community, and it's just having that opportunity and education. And of course, I would like to echo Sean's comment. The staff, really, I'd compliment all of you folks and those who came a little bit before you in the positions, because these are the folks that make it happen. You know, we sit up here and, you know, talk about things and make decisions, but then it's up to them to make it actually work. And, you know, been blessed to work with a lot of wonderful, wonderful staff over the years that have made a lot of those projects happen and function. And then, of course, as we've talked about here, about councils that work together, and I agree with Rob that, you know, there's been councils that have been challenging, and you sometimes get real frustrated when things are just not working as well as they could. And I've always suggested that really for the city to function well, it's like a 3-legged stool. It takes the council, the mayor, and the staff all working together to really make things happen. And we've been blessed with that over the last few years to be able to do that. And then Cindy mentioned you, Rob, and I would also like to kind of echo that. I've had the good fortune of working with 7 mayors, and I will say you're right up at the top on the list of mayors, so good job, thank you. Certainly, I want to thank the citizens of Port Orchard for allowing me to be here for as long as I've been, and blessed with, you know, this free education, I guess you would say. And of course, my family, I wish they were here. You know, I have 3 children. One of them wasn't even born when I got on the council. My oldest daughter was 3. My other daughter was 1 when I got on the council. So it's going to be an interesting few years ahead of us, because they've never known me to not be on the city council. Yeah. I'm going to truly take advantage of that. And I guess the last thing I would say is that for those of you that are going to be on the council next year. The one piece of information or advice I would pass on is please remind the new council members and future councils coming in what our role is, because it's critical to remember that staff works for the mayor, council sets policy, and that's something that especially new council members have a tough time with. So that I can only just say thank you. I'm truly honored, and it's been wonderful working with all of you for the years we've had here at the table, so thank you.
Well, it's time to adjourn this meeting. I wish everyone a happy holidays, and we'll reconvene in the new year. So, and we're heading to